Welcome back. We are in conversation with Rajiv Bajaj here on CNBC-TV18 Newsmaker, and we're talking to him about the EV strategy, the premium play, and the CNG strategy of the Bajaj Auto Group. In September, you had hinted to us that you're working on a CNG motorcycle. What is the current status of that plan, of that pilot? Because there have been reports that you've been testing this and could be possibly launched next year. Could you give us a sense of the CNG plans?
Sure. So yes, it's no secret that we are working on a CNG two-wheeler, and apparently the prototype of the motorcycle has been spotted. I haven't seen those details, so I'm not going to comment on that. As I had shared with you, this is something we thought of recently, and as the proto itself would suggest, in case that is authentic, we are in very early stages of the game. So what I'm prepared to say today is that this is not something we are about to launch, in this year or something like that. But I'm prepared to say that within the calendar year 25, which means within the next 2 years, we would certainly hope. I would not say we have decided to, but we are very hopeful of launching this motorcycle. And let me tell you why primarily, Parikshit. There doesn't exist a CNG two-wheeler in the world today, to the best of my knowledge, unless, there is some jugaad stuff happening somewhere, as there is in India also. I am told people retrofit CNG onto their scooters and motorcycles. And there's very good reasons for this. And let me give you 4 of the top reasons. The first 3 have to do with emissions and hence with your health and my health. Let's start with carbon dioxide, CO2, which as we know is very important for global warming. Now, when we made the prototype and compared the CNG motorcycle with the ICE motorcycle, the petrol motorcycle, there is almost 50% reduction in CO2. Next, carbon monoxide, which we know is very hazardous for human health. There is a 75% reduction in carbon monoxide. And finally, in terms of non-methane hydrocarbons, obviously with CNG, that is almost zero. So in fact, there is a 90% reduction. And in terms of the operating cost, which is of course more important for the Aam Aadmi customer, if I may call him that, than is the emission consideration, for better or worse. There is almost a 50 to 65% reduction in the operating cost in terms of the fuel bill. So it's effectively like saying petrol instead of 110 rupees a litre is suddenly going to become 50 rupees a litre. And I think the proof of the pudding is in what has happened in the three-wheeler industry, for example. Of course, CNG has become very popular even with cars and buses.
Right.
But, especially so with the three-wheelers.
Right. So I'd quickly like to confirm, you said you're working towards a commercial launch in 2025 calendar year for the CNG motorcycle.
Yeah, I said before the end of the 2025 calendar year. That's right.
Okay, before the end of the 2025 calendar year. What do market studies really reveal? Bajaj Auto must be doing market studies. What is the demand for a CNG motorcycle in the market? Because people have traditionally bought petrol motorcycles. Now there are customers moving towards electric vehicles. What do market studies really reveal?
It's very hard to do anything more than speculate, but let me give you a somewhat longish answer to this. Let's take reference of the three-wheeler market, which is as close as we can get to the two-wheeler market right now. You may be surprised to know that with the government's initiative in rapidly expanding the CNG pipeline in recent years, and that's one wonderful thing I would say the government has done as far as the auto industry is concerned. Today, almost 60% of the three-wheeler industry has moved to CNG, with the commensurate benefits, as we just spoke, for the environment and also for the operating cost for the driver and for the customers. And within the Bajaj portfolio, and we just finished saying how well Bajaj has been doing with its three-wheelers. 70% of what we sell today, passenger and cargo put together is CNG. So that's one data point. As far as the two-wheeler industry is concerned, or let's take just the motorcycle industry, because that's what we are working on. Pre-COVID, our industry used to be about 1 million a month. Now it is between 800 and 900,000. So we have still not come back to the pre-COVID levels. And I'll come back to this point in a second. If you were to apply 70% to that, that would be a huge number. But I'm saying even if 10, 20% people would consider CNG, you're talking of a very large number of motorcycles. You're talking of probably 200,000 motorcycles every month at a 20% conversion. You know? But here I must make two important points if you will give me 2 minutes to do that. And that is, I want to make a statement that our industry and two-wheelers in this country has really suffered in recent times, not so much because of the COVID lockdown, not so much because of commodity price increases, not so much because of the chips and chip shortage, as it has for the fact that it is over-regulated and over-taxed. By over-regulation, I draw your attention to the fact that I have been saying this for the last 3-4 years now, and I believe I have heard Venu sir say this, I have heard Bhargav Sahib say this, that, in terms of the regulations brought in for emission safety and insurance, it has pushed up the cost of an average motorcycle by about 35%. And today, our safety norms in terms of mandating ABS or emission norms in terms of BS6 put us squarely on par with European norms. Now, that's good. I mean, if we want to benchmark the best in the world and be there, no problem, I mean, we have the technology to do it. We are a global player. But then we must also understand that there is a huge commercial implication of that on what is essentially the vehicle of the Aam Aadmi for his daily commute and to earn his daily livelihood. And that brings me to the point of this being a heavily overtaxed market. The third biggest two-wheeler market in the world after China and India is typically Brazil. You would be surprised to know perhaps that just as our GST is 28%, it is only 9.25% in Brazil. The next biggest market is Indonesia. It is only 11% in Indonesia. In Philippines, which is as rich or poor a market as ours, it is only 12%. In Malaysia and in Vietnam, it is only 10%. And in Thailand, we all love Thailand, so in Thailand, it's only 7%. So very clearly, the Aam Aadmi in India is being made to pay, on an average, I would say, about 15% more in taxation terms than his counterpart in all of these economies, which I think are very comparable to ours. So, excuse me, I think that what is very important is that when new technology is introduced, whether for safety or emission, or say in this case CNG, at the same time, we need to relook at the GST structure if we want industry to grow, if we want India to continue to be a powerhouse of two-wheelers in the world, and if we want employment to grow.
Right. So, you are asking for a reduction in GST, simplification of regulatory costs as well. Coming back to importance of CNG motorcycles for your portfolio, how much are you investing currently in having a CNG portfolio in the two-wheeler segment?
The honest answer, Parikshit, is that I don't know, because as I said, that our work has just started. So, what demand should we anticipate, what share for ourselves, what make-buy policy we will follow, hence what investment we will make. I think it's too early to answer these questions. Right now, we are focused on getting the product right.
Right. In terms of how it would contribute to your revenues, the kind of portfolio mix that you're looking at, how many CNG products would you like to have? What would be the sales mix that you're working towards?
Well, in terms of revenues, again, as I said, it's too early for that, but I would put it like this, that if we can have 20% penetration in through CNG two-wheelers, let's say in a couple of years after they are introduced, and that points to, say, 200,000 units a month or thereabouts. And, typically in this space, we have 40% market share. So let's say arbitrarily, we will have, share of 80,000 vehicles a month, which is 1 million vehicles a year. Multiply that by a price which is likely to be around 1 lakh rupees, let's say. So it points to a potential revenue stream of 10,000 crores a year. But I would say this is all pie in the sky at this stage. It is not easy to package a large CNG cylinder in a two-wheeler, especially in a motorcycle, which has no space actually, unlike a scooter under the seat. So there's a reason why there doesn't exist a CNG two-wheeler in the world as of now. Right. In a three-wheeler or in a car or a bus, that challenge doesn't exist. So again, we have to first get the product right, and then we will know better about the cost and price and potential volumes and revenues.
Okay, the final question on the CNG front. There have been reports that you would like to probably bring this in the 150cc. Bringing it in Pulsar, would that be your aspiration?
Obviously, I'm not enough of a rookie to give you a straight answer to that. But I will say this, that I believe that with new technologies, whether it's electric or CNG, it is important that it is not just the technology, i.e. the product that is new, but it should also be the position or the brand also that is new. And that is why, for example, when we have brought the Chetak back after 15 years of, burying it, so to speak, we have brought it back in a pure electric avatar. And a lot of people tell me that, side by side, why not also have a ICE Chetak? And I just think it will take the charm away from it. Imagine a gasoline Tesla standing next to a EV Tesla. I mean, it just sounds like a very corrupt thought. So in the same way, my first instinct would be to say that if we are going to introduce the world's first CNG motorcycle, hopefully, TVS is not going to beat us to it. I would like to think that we will create a new position with a new brand rather than leverage one of our existing brands.
All right, Rajiv. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. We've completely run out of time, but thanks to our viewers for tuning in.